village of Ogidigbo, when the sun had barely risen and the cocks were still fighting each other for attention, people would already hear a sound no one expected. Ka-pa-ka-pa. It was Amarachi, the only female palm wine tapper in the whole village, climbing a tall palm tree with the confidence of a monkey and the stubbornness of a goat. Ah, see her again. The old women gossiping at the stream would whisper, instead of marrying a husband, she is marrying palm trees. But Amarachi didn't care. She tied her wrapper tight around her waist, carried her sharp tapping knife in her mouth, and went up those palm trees like a warrior going to battle. The men respected her secretly but laughed openly. Hunters would say, no lion can frighten Amarachi. Only palm kernel oil can. Children would run behind her singing, palm wine woman, climb the tree. Palm wine woman, fall for me. What made Amarachi special was not just her courage. It was the taste of her palm wine. Sweet, fresh, and strong enough that even the village chief once shouted after drinking Chiniki, "This one is sweeter than the songs of praise singers." Everyone agreed. Amarachi's palm wine could make a sad man laugh and a tired man dance. But success brings enemies. The male tappers in the village grew jealous. How can one small woman scatter our market? They grumbled. One evening, 3 of them gathered under a mango tree, Okoro the boastful, Dyke the drunkard, and Jato the talkative. They plotted, we must disgrace her. Tomorrow, let us cut the rope she uses to climb. What they didn't know was that Amarachi had sharper ears than a parrot that refused to die. She overheard everything from behind the bushes. The next morning, she arrived earlier than them, tied a calabash of very strong fermented palm wine high on one of the trees, and left it hanging. The jealous men came later, saw the calabash, and greedily drank from it before even touching her rope. By the time Amarachi returned, the 3 men were already rolling on the ground, staggering and arguing about who owned the last drop. Villagers gathered, laughing so hard their stomachs ached. But Amarachi didn't laugh. She stood with her hands on her waist, her wrapper swinging in the wind, and said, "Today it is palm wine. Tomorrow, what else will you try? You want to kill me because I am a woman. You will hear from me." Her voice carried across the village square. Everyone went silent. The men sobered up immediately, but by then it was too late. Amarachi had already humiliated them publicly. That evening, as Amarachi carried her calabashes back home, she noticed something strange. At the edge of the forest, by the oldest palm tree in Ogidigbo, a red cloth was tied around the trunk. It hadn't been there before. Amarachi froze. In her grandmother's time, such a cloth meant one thing: juju. She stood there, calabash shaking in her hand, as a cold wind blew through the forest. Someone wasn't just jealous anymore. Someone wanted her gone by any means. That night, Amarachi could hardly sleep. Each time she closed her eyes, that image of the red cloth tied to the old palm tree burned in her mind. She whispered to herself, who could have done this? Was it Jato? He always looks at me with anger, as if my success is his sickness. Or was it Daike? That one mocks me every time, calling me man-woman. Or maybe Okoro? No, in fact, the entire Palm Wine Tappers Association hates me. All of them want me gone. Is it my fault my palm wine is sweeter? Her chest grew heavy. She sat up, placed her calabash by her feet, and clasped her hands. "Please, my forefathers, protect me," she muttered softly in her little mud hut, the oil lamp flickering against the wall. Amarachi's hut was small, barely big enough for her mat, her calabashes, and the clay pots where she stored leftover wine. She lived alone. Her parents had died when she was still a child. Her father, once a proud hunter, had been killed by a wild boar during a hunt. Her mother, a kind woman who sold roasted plantain in the market, fell ill shortly after and never recovered. Since then, Amarachi had raised herself, learning palm wine tapping by secretly watching the men. At first they mocked her. Now they feared her. But deep down, she carried her loneliness like a heavy load. She had no siblings, no husband, no children, just her trees, her calabashes, and the sweet wine that kept her name alive in Ogidigbo. The very next morning, as Amarachi was returning from her trees, she heard the sound of drums beating at the village square. People were gathering, children were running, women were clapping. The village town crier stood in the center, his staff in hand, shouting, "People of Ogidigbo, hear the words of the chief. In 7 days there will be the festival of palm wine. All tappers, men and women, must bring their sweetest brew. The winner shall receive a goat, 20 tubers of yam, and the honor of serving the chief himself at the palace feast." The crowd roared in excitement. Some shouted, "Yea!" Others clapped their hands. But Amarachi's heart sank. The competition meant only one thing. Her rivals would now have a chance to disgrace her in front of the whole village. She tightened her wrapper, muttering to herself, "If it is war they want, then it is war they will get." That evening Jato, Daike and Okoro met again under the mango tree. This time their voices were low, their laughter bitter. "We must not allow that woman to win the festival," Jato hissed. "Her palm wine is strong. We must find a way to spoil it," Daike added, grinning like a hungry hyena. Okoro leaned forward. "Let us use juju. If her calabash breaks before the chief, she will be disgraced forever." They spat on the ground, sealing their wicked agreement. Meanwhile, in her small hut, Amarachi sat by her firelight, staring at her calabash. "This is not just a competition," she whispered. "This is my life. They want to destroy me, but they don't know the blood that flows in me. I am the daughter of hunters. I am the daughter of women who never bowed." She raised her face to the ceiling and spoke again, "My forefathers, give me strength. Let my wine speak for me." Outside, the moon shone brightly over Ogidigbo, but the wind carried whispers of danger. Someone, somewhere, was already planning to strike. That night, when the moon hid behind thick clouds and the crickets sang louder than usual, Jato, Daike, and Okoro gathered under the old mango tree. "Tonight we strike," Jato hissed. Like shadows, the three tiptoed to Amarachi's hut. The oil lamp inside flickered faintly. She had fallen asleep after a long day of tapping. The calabashes of wine stood proudly by her clay pots, glowing in the moonlight as if guarding her. Okoro whispered, "Quickly now, before the cock crows." Daike grinned, lifting one calabash. With a wicked laugh, he poured sand into it. Jato took another and spat inside, muttering a charm he had bought from a native doctor. The third calabash they simply loosened until it began to leak slowly into the sand floor. By the time they crept away, the once sweet wine had turned sour. They left laughing quietly, certain that Amarachi's disgrace was sealed. 7 days later, the drums of Ogidigbo roared like thunder. The festival of palm wine had begun. Men and women filled the square, the air thick with roasted yam, laughter, and anticipation. The chief sat on his wooden stool, his red cap shining under the sun. One by one, the tappers presented their wine. Cheers went up, the crowd clapped, and the chief nodded after every sip. Then came Amarachi. She lifted her calabash high, the villagers clapping at the sight of the only female tapper daring to stand among men. She smiled with confidence and tilted the calabash to pour. But splash! The wine spilled onto the ground. The liquid inside was watery, sour, and foul-smelling. The crowd gasped. Murmurs rose. Some laughed cruelly in. "So this is the wine of the great Amarachi. Shame has caught her today." Jato, Daike, and Okoro could not contain themselves. They burst into wicked laughter, their teeth flashing like hyenas feasting. Amarachi's face burned. Tears stung her eyes. For a moment she thought her world had ended, but then she remembered. With the whole village watching, Amarashi raised her hand and said, "Wait, you think I came here unprepared?" She dropped her calabash and ran swiftly to the edge of the square. Behind a thick bush, she dragged out a hidden keg of palm wine, untouched, fresh, and covered with palm leaves. Gasps filled the square. She had kept it there secretly, just in case. When the chief tasted from this keg, his eyes widened. He smacked his lips and shouted Chineke, "This is sweeter than honey itself. Amarachi, you are the true queen of palm wine." The crowd erupted. Some clapped, some danced, others hailed her name. Amaraki had won. Jato, Daik, and Okoro sat frozen. Their laughter turned to shame. After the festival chaos, a quiet figure approached Amaraki. His name was Panama. He was known in the village as both a drummer and a hunter. He carried his talking drum under one arm and a bundle of bush meat under the other. "Congratulations, Amarashi," he said softly, smiling warmly. "You fought like a lioness." For the first time in years, Amaraki felt her heart soften. She walked home with Panama that night, listening to his drumbeats echo under the moonlight. Days passed. Panama drew closer. He brought her bushmeat, antelope, rabbits, even chickens. As Amaraki roasted the meat, he played his drum, filling her hut with lively beats. Sometimes she laughed and danced, her wrapper swinging, her loneliness forgotten. They ate the juicy meat, drank her sweet palm wine, and laughed under the stars. For the first time, Amarashi thought, "Maybe the gods have sent me a soulmate." She was smitten. But unknown to her, Panama's sweetness was poison. On a rainy night, under the big mango tree, Jato, Daike, and Okoro had made their backup plan. "In case we fail at the festival," Jato said, "we will strike her with this." They handed Panama a bag of cowries. His instructions were clear: make Amarashi fall in love, then break her heart so she can never rise again. And so Panama was playing his part perfectly. Amarachi didn't know she was dancing to the drumbeat of betrayal. Amarachi had told herself she would wait until marriage before lying with any man. But Panama was persistent. He played his drum at night, whispered sweet promises, and swore that marriage was only days away. "My love," he said, pulling her close, "you will enjoy it. I swear before the gods. I will never leave you. After this, we will be husband and wife." Amarashi's heart, softened by years of loneliness, believed him. She gave in. Weeks passed. When her belly began to feel heavy and strange, she realized she was with child. One evening, with trembling hands, she told Panama, "My love, I am pregnant." He smiled, hugged her tightly, and kissed her forehead. "This is the best news of my life. We must get married quickly, before people begin to talk." Amarachi's heart leapt. Finally, she thought, the gods had blessed her with love, family, and companionship. That night, Panama left her hut, promising to see the chief about the marriage rites the next morning. But he never returned. Instead, he went straight to Jato, Daike, and Okoro, where he announced proudly, "The mission is complete. Amarachi is pregnant." The men roared with laughter. They handed him a bag of cowries, his balance for the job. Panama smiled wickedly, gathered his belongings, and fled the village under the cover of darkness. The next day, Amarachi waited and waited, but Panama never came. Meanwhile, Jato and his gang sat under the mango tree, drinking their fermented palm wine. At last, Jato shouted, "Let us see how she will climb palm trees with pregnancy." Daiki slapped his thigh in joy. "Her customers will come back to us." Okoro raised his calabash high, to the end of Amarachi. They drank, laughing until palm wine dripped from their beards. Amarashi's world, once filled with laughter and music, had collapsed overnight. After Panama's betrayal and sudden disappearance, the news spread through Ogidigbo like wildfire. Amarachi is pregnant. The man has abandoned her. The women at the stream mocked. The gods are punishing her for climbing palm trees like a man, some elders whispered. Jato, Daiki, and Okoro raised their calabashes of sour palm wine and laughed openly. She's finished, Okoro said, slapping his thigh. Yes, Daiki added. Who will buy wine from a woman who carries shame in her belly? Jato sneered. By the time she is heavy, she won't even climb a short tree. We have finally won. But Amarashi, though heartbroken, stood tall. Each day she whispered to her unborn child, my daughter, you are my strength. Together, we will prove them wrong. As moons passed, her belly grew full. Then came the shocking announcement, another festival of palm wine. The prize this time was greater than ever, a large portion of land in the heart of Ogidigbo, and a bag of cowries that would make anyone rich. Jato and his group nearly burst from laughter when they heard. Let her dare to come, Jato sneered, with her swollen stomach. Dyke mocked. She will disgrace herself once and for all, Okoro added. They spread gossip, mocking Amarashi in every corner of the village. But Amarachi, determined, tied her wrapper firmly and stood before her mirror pot. Pregnant or not, I will climb. The gods gave me this gift, and I will not hide it. The square was filled with drummers, dancers, and the smell of roasted yam. The chief stood proudly in his red cap. Let the contest begin. He roared. The rule was simple. The first tapper to climb cut and return with fresh palm wine wins. One by one, the men began to climb. Their muscles bulged, their wrappers tore, sweat poured. The crowd cheered them on. Then came Amarashi. The square fell silent. A pregnant woman, climbing a palm tree? The villagers shook their heads in disbelief. But Amarachi tied her rope, pressed her belly gently, and began to climb. Ka-pa-pa-ka-pa. Higher, higher. She went stronger than even the men. She cut the tree, filled her calabash, and descended with grace. She touched the ground before any man had finished. The crowd gasped. Then they erupted into cheers. Amarachi. Amarachi. She is made for this. Even with child, she defeats them all. The chief himself stood and clapped. From today, Amarachi is not only the queen of palm wine, but also the richest woman in Ogidigbo. The land and the cowries are yours. Workers immediately began building her a fine, large hut on the new land. Each day, Amarachi sat watching them with joy, cuddling her unborn child and thanking the gods. Not long after, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl with eyes that sparkled like her own. The village midwives named her Nikemdili, let mine remain. Ogidigbo celebrated Amarachi's victory. From mocked orphan to wealthy woman, she had become a living legend. But far away, Panama's ears caught the news. Greed burned in his chest. She is now rich, with land and cowries, he muttered. I must return. I will beg, pretend to love her, and steal everything. One night, he arrived in Ogidigbo, ragged and tired from his journey. He found Amarachi outside, rocking her baby by the fire. He knelt quickly. Amara, my love, forgive me. Jato and his gang used me. They paid me to deceive you. But now I regret everything. I truly love you. Amarachi's heart boiled at the sight of him. Leave here now before I scream. But Panama clung to her feet, shedding fake tears. I won't leave until you forgive me. My heart belongs to you. Amarachi, sensing danger, forced a smile. My love, I have forgiven you. Panama's eyes lit up. Thank you, Obim. My heart, can I sleep here tonight? She shook her head gently. Not tonight, my love. I wasn't expecting you. The hut is unkept. Come tomorrow morning. Panama smiled, relieved. As he walked away, he muttered to himself, foolish woman. Tomorrow I'll start enjoying her wealth. But he didn't know the fool was him. Before dawn, Amarachi wrapped her baby to her back and hurried to the palace. My chief, he has returned, she said, tears in her eyes. The man who deceived me left me and now wants my wealth." The chief's face darkened. "What?" "That greedy dog." He banged his staff on the ground. "Guards." When Panama returned to Amarashi's hut in the morning, he was met by palace guards who seized him instantly. The town crier's gong echoed, "Let all gather at the square." The villagers assembled. Panama was dragged before the chief. His lies fell apart like broken calabash. "You are a disgrace." The chief thundered. "You deceived, abandoned, and now seek to steal. You will not pollute this land further." The guards beat him until he wailed like a goat. He was banished from Ogidigbo forever. And as for Jato, Daike, and Okoro, their past crimes were exposed. They were flogged 100 times each, then banished alongside Panama. "Such wickedness will never prosper in Ogidigbo," the chief declared. With her enemies gone, Amarashi's life flourished. Her new land was filled with palm trees, goats, and chickens. Her hut stood tall, one of the finest in the village. Little Mengdili grew under her mother's care, loved by all. Amarashi became a symbol of strength, courage, and womanhood. When people spoke of her, they said she lost everything but still rose higher than the palm trees. She turned shame into glory. Ogidigbo learned a lesson that would echo for generations: jealousy's self-destruction. The men who plotted Amarashi's downfall wasted their strength trying to block her light, but in the end, their wickedness banished them while she prospered. A woman's worth is not defined by her gender. Amarachi proved that hard work, courage, and resilience are not limited to men. Anyone can excel when determined. Greed blinds and destroys. Panama thought money was everything. His greed turned him into a tool for evil and ultimately cost him peace, respect, and home. Patience and wisdom protect destiny. Amarachi did not fight Panama in anger. She used wisdom, went to the chief, and preserved her future. Sometimes silence and planning are stronger than shouting. Children are blessings, not shame. Though mocked for her pregnancy, Amarashi's daughter became her strength and joy. What others ridicule may turn out to be your greatest blessing. Evil may win for a night, but dawn will always expose it. For a while, Jato and his gang laughed, but truth and justice eventually caught up with them. Your background does not define your future. Amarashi was an orphan, mocked and lonely, yet she became the wealthiest and most celebrated woman in Ogidigbo. Why do people waste so much energy trying to destroy others instead of building themselves? If Amarashi had given up after her first disgrace, would she have ever discovered her greatness? How many Panamas exist today, people who fake love only to use others? Sometimes the things people laugh at you for are the very things that will raise you higher than them. True strength is not in how high you climb, but in how many times you rise after falling. And so ends the story of Amarashi, the palm wine woman of Ogidigbo, from orphaned girl to legend of her people. Thank you so much for watching today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We love hearing from you. And expect more amazing stories from us here at Delia Storytime. Bye for now, and see you in the next story.